Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video. This is a continuation for the Mega Bog Filter build. And as I said in part 1, I'm going to be putting together some lift stacks today. And my main goal here is not to just make them relatively easy to put together, but I want to make them really easy to drop in like this, pull out. That way I can make some adjustments to it, or if I don't like the flow at all, to completely change them without disturbing the bed of the filter very much. And that is the most important thing here. So you see that ring at the bottom? That is going to be a sleeve that's going to fit over that 1-inch rigid tubing, and it is going to allow me to adjust how high that tube fits in the filter. So that way it's a certain amount off the bottom of the tank, and also by raising it I can limit how much water and air goes through it and all that sort of stuff. So I haven't shown you any machining in quite a while because I've been doing a lot of the low budget builds. So what I want to do here today on top of of making this is I want to show you a very easy way of making a fit for the bottom of those tubes. The first one I showed you, and I'm actually going to put that together, is another piece of that acrylic tubing that's going to act as a sleeve. I can weld on a piece of like thin acrylic on the bottom of that and then turn that down, and that can act as an end cap that's going to fit over the bottom of the tube. But then it would not fit as a nice easy drop-in for like these tubes to fit in here, so I really don't want to go that route. So I am going to make one simple cap here, and it's just going to, like I said, as a friction fit over that, and it's just going to be an end cap. It's just going to prevent the flow of water through the whole thing in the bottom, because there's going to be a lot of smaller fish in this, and possibly, hopefully baby guppies at some point as well. So I don't really want them to be sucked up into the filter and then get stuck in all that Java moss or whatever else is going to be in this. So this is going to prevent that. And I'm going to also add to the actual rigid tubing itself some holes a little later on in the video. And to keep, again, the guppies from going up in it, I'm going to either insert, or in this particular case I'm going to put over the outside of it some sponge. Now obviously the sponge that goes on the outside is going to interfere with being able to pull these in and take them out with ease, but it's not really that much of a sacrifice, so I'm going to try that first. And then I do have some sponge on order, and when it comes in I will make some insert ones as well, because I'm only going to make 2 today, and I have 2 others I could set up. So for those, I will try something different for them. So this is relatively simple to build. I mean, it only took full time was about 12 minutes to make. Again, I know you guys, not everyone has access to this sort of equipment, but I do want to show you as many different things as possible. If you wanted to make this lower budget and also don't require any equipment, you could simply use PVC piping. It comes in a myriad of sizes, and they all have end caps, and it's just easy to drill the holes with a handheld drill, and it doesn't really require any effort. But I wanted to put this together because, well, it is one of the things I like to do, and I am in the process of setting up that second channel with the machining and woodworking and that sort of stuff. But I am still going to show you guys bits and pieces here even when that is up and running, just so you can see different ways of doing things. So I'm going to put some 1/4-inch holes in here. Not necessarily need to be this big. It's just a convenient size, and because it is going to be either filled with a sponge or it's going to be covered in a sponge, it really doesn't matter. I just want to make sure I had enough flow in this, because that is really important. This filter, at least the first one, was running off a pump, so a fair amount of flow is important as far as getting a lot of the chemistry that I want from this, and the easiest way to do that is to make sure there isn't any restrictions in the amount of water that's going to go through this. Again, this is really easy to do, but you don't need to, again, use a milling machine and set this up like this. You can just easily do this with a handheld drill, and just be careful, because acrylic will crack if you tend to change the trajectory of the drill bit if it's not going straight in. So just need to be a bit careful of that, and there you go, very easy to do. So I'm gonna, as I said before, I am going to put a sponge on the outside. So this is one of the many leftover sponges I have. I bought a lot of pumps over the years for clients, and most of them are inline, so I just kept the sponges just in case I needed them later on, and they actually really come in handy. So this is The perfect bore size, the hole in the middle of the sponge that you see there, is the right diameter for that particular piece of pipe. So it's going to be very simple. Now, I had made a jig a little while ago for doing this, so I can turn it and make it round, but I didn't want to adjust it, so I just did this by hand. It's not difficult to do, and it doesn't need to look perfect. It just needs to be roughly round. So this, like I said, this is a very simple way of polishing it out like that and making it look reasonable, and that's all it needs to be. So let's assemble the first one, and it'll give you an idea what this is going to look like. So the end cap just goes in, and it's, like I said, it's nice friction fit, maybe a little too. But the nice thing about this sort of style is I can pop that off and run a brush through much more simply than if I put a fixed one on, which is going to be the next one. Now, I've shown you enough machining, I think, for one day, so what I'm going to do is do that off camera. But you can see the little squares of acrylic down there. I am going to just simply weld those in place, let them cure for a couple of hours. I've gotten to the point now where I'm quite confident you don't have to leave it much longer than that, and on these simple ones like this, there's not enough torque on it to really worry about. So, and then I'm going to do this off camera, because I think, like as I said, I've shown you enough machining for one day. It does come out looking really quite nice and clean, as you can see here. But again, because it is fixed, I won't be able to pop that off and run a brush through it. So you'll end up with a bit of accumulation of algae that's on the bottom there. So this is the other one, and this is the friction fit end cap. And there's ways I can make that a little more loose so it wouldn't be much of a problem, but I'm not going to worry about that one for this particular build. So these fit on like this, and as you can see, it is an effort to get them on. But once they're on, there's no way that the tube is going to slip anywhere, and that's all that really matters. I can adjust this however I choose, and like I said, it's just a simple way of making these go in and out and not have to worry about disturbing the filter too much. Now, one of the things that this is going to really need is, as you see them wobbling there, there is a bracket I'm going to put together for this, and it also is going to be a splash guard. But I haven't had time to put that together, not for this video, so that's going to be in the next. I'm not sure if the continuations for these are going to be part of the Sunday vlogs, or if there's going to be enough material here for an entire video of its own. So I'll have to figure that out as this goes forward. So I'm going to move all this Java Moss and Java Fern out of the way, and as you can see, the new additions to this tank are doing really quite nicely. I have not gotten to the point where I'm taking out most of that mulm yet, mostly because it is beneficial at this point, and it will help keep the water clear while I get the rest of the filtration system set up. I do plan on doing a video on mulm to show you guys what to look for and how much is too much and all that sort of stuff, but for the moment I got way too many projects on the go as it is. So the hard part about this was putting it in place without the guppies and the angelfish getting in the way. Apparently moving them from their other tanks into this tank did not discourage them from coming to see me, because I assume they just want to be fed. But it unfortunately means they're in the way when it comes to working on stuff like this. So actually I'd rather this way than have them running and hiding. That always bothered me when you had fish that just you came by and then they just disappeared. This is much nicer, having to come and greet you. So there it's in place. The water settled a little bit. I'm going to drop in the two lift stacks, and I'm not really going to be doing too much more on this today because this video is already getting long enough. But I am, like I said, going to continue this. I need to build that bracket. If there's enough material for that, I'll make a video for it. But Friday's video is definitely going to be something else, a few other things I want to work on. And so this is going to be either Sunday or next week. These are actually really nice sponges. They're really old now, but as you can see, even though it is a little tricky to get down here, they slide in really easily, and I don't think this is going to result in too much disturbance of the filter itself. So I think they may stay this way, at least for a little while anyway, because the next two that I'm going to be putting together I can make with the insert ones. So there you go. That's as easy as that is. I'm going to drop in the two air lines and then show you a look at this. But it was splashing so much, which is what I really wanted to do because I really do want that turnover. But there's no cap for this at the moment. So what I'm going to do temporarily is I'm going to place on One of the other two caps I had for the rainforest build is going to drop it on top of it. It is going to cause them to skew off to one side, which is kind of annoying. But that's okay. This is just temporary, and I will have that fixed in a few days. And I definitely will show you an update for that on Sunday. And again, as I said, we'll see how the build goes. So as always, as we get close to the end of the video, I would like to mention that I really appreciate all your comments, leave suggestions, and what you think of all this sort of thing. This is going to be a very interesting long-term project because there's so much that can be done with all that space there. And the nice thing about this, even though it is taking up vertical tank space, if you're looking down from the top, it doesn't really interfere with the fish swimming around inside, so it is a benefit that way at least. And I hope that it'll, as I say, become quite an interesting refuge for fish and invertebrates and that sort of stuff. So it'd be like a little refugium. And you can see all the splashing that's happening here. That is the reason for this. And again, this is not the one that I'm keeping, but I like the flow out the front. It is being blocked a little bit by that cap being in there. It's restricting the flow, and it's also, you can see that the two lift stacks are at an angle and a lot of bubbles are escaping. So once the proper one goes on this, I think it's going to be quite interesting. It's going to be a really good flow because I think we're working at about maybe 70-75% at the moment. So that's excellent, and we'll see once I put whatever I'm going to put into this in here, plus deflectors and all that sort of stuff, should make for quite an interesting project. So thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.